We recently published a review article with a group of collaborators around the world, and our topic is herbicide cross-resistance. So clearly not a new topic, but the point of our article is that it's becoming very complicated. So historically, weed scientists have grouped herbicides by their target site. There are different group letters or group numbers. But we found that resistance mechanisms that are conferring cross-resistance don't really care about the target site. The resistance is affecting herbicides from different groups now. So the message is that growers sometimes think if I use a herbicide in this group, all of them are not going to work, but then these from a different group will work. But it's no longer that simple. Sometimes herbicides that have resistance in this group, let's say group 2, some are still effective, but some are not. On the other hand, that resistance mechanism could affect herbicides in group 27, group 15. So it's like the resistance, mainly metabolic, but others, is affecting multiple groups with just one mechanism and one gene sometimes.
That indeed does sound complicated. So if a farmer has some weed problems that just seemingly can't be controlled, what sort of remedy should he look for?
I think what we're getting to now is that really testing, whether you test for resistance on your field or you get university people involved. So you could spray herbicides on your field, of course, and test it. Or you could also take lease samples and send it into labs like at Univ or other places for analysis. So really, I think we're getting to the point where each field's population, let's say Waterhemp or Palmer, probably has to be diagnosed and tested for which herbicides don't work and which herbicides do work. I know it's more time, more effort, but I think it's gotten to that point now.
So the Palmer and Waterhemp, they're staying ahead of the game right now in a pretty scientific fashion.
Yeah, I think mechanisms now are allowing the weeds to survive even better than they were before. Because now you could have one gene, let's say a detoxification gene, can affect herbicides from, let's say, four different groups of target sites. So for us, controlling weeds, it's terrible. It's more difficult, it's more complicated. But from the weeds surviving, it actually makes sense. They're finding innovative ways to be ahead of the game, so to speak.
All right. Now, are the chemical companies, are they keeping up with this? Are they somehow we've got to keep ahead of the weeds?
So I think the new thing in industry, so of course people want to find new herbicides with new target sites, but some companies are also investing time in finding herbicides from existing target sites that are not affected by current resistance mechanisms. So companies call that resistance breaking chemistry. It's not to say it's going to last forever though. I mean, it might work now. But then again, the weeds can always find new mechanisms that could affect these resistance-breaking compounds. But that is something companies are doing now, is trying to keep ahead of the game with new chemistry.
Okay. So for a farmer who is thinking about his cropping plan for 2025, and he knows he's got a problem with either Palmer or Waterhemp somewhere, what sort of a suggestion would you have to him to at least do what he can in this coming crop year?
I think for planning ahead, diversify weed management strategies, multiple herbicides that are effective, and also really consider cover crops, tillage, manual hoeing out weeds, whatever you have to do to prevent the weeds from going to seed. There's also new harvest weed seed destruction. You can basically destroy weed seeds before they come out of the back of the combine. That's another option. But I think in terms of your field, your populations of weeds, really testing them, whether it's on your farm with different herbicides, or some universities like the U of I have a testing service where you can send in plants or leaf tissue even, and we can test it in the laboratory or the greenhouse. It's becoming a lot more information intensive, but the weeds are really forcing us to do that. So yeah, I was at a meeting 2 years ago, literally 2 years ago, a guy from Canada, Peter Sikma, Guelph, he's an extension researcher. He said, I'm giving talks to growers, and I know I'm not telling them the whole truth. I'm saying, like, for example, you have group 2 resistant amaranthus in your field. It's partially true, but it's not the whole truth. He said, because some herbicides in group 2 might work. On the other hand, herbicides from group 27 might also not work. So he said, you know, I'm trying to simplify the message to have it make sense, but I'm not really telling them all the truth. So our article was to try to shed light on this. This has become really complicated. And if you want to know what works or doesn't work, you really have to test your own field. You can't just assume it's going to work or not work anymore based on the target site.